And yeah, I was making my way into the studio. So this is what happened. There's somebody, Maxime the Dream, on X, right? Tagged me a couple times regarding this deal where it's Keegan Murray for Stephon Castle. And he says, who says no? And he tagged me, tagged a couple people, and he said, who says no? So I asked Carmichael Dave, what he would do in that situation, or who would say no. He gave his answer. We had that conversation. So that prompted me to start digging more so on the Keegan Murray thing, right? And somebody familiar with the situation said something to me that I didn't expect to hear, right? And what that person said was that the Kings could be waiting to see how this season, at the very least, starts, right, or plays out with Keegan Murray before offering him the extension. So I don't want to say floored, but pretty darn surprised when I heard that. Because how many times have we had the conversation, Jabari Smith, just copy paste that same contract and get it done, right? Now, all of a sudden, there might actually be a reason that this isn't happening. And we've heard Scott Perry say it himself. We've heard different sources within the organization say it to, the Keith Smiths of the world, and say it to different outlets. Oh, we're really happy about Keegan Murray, and we hope that we can sign him and continue this process. Well, how happy are they really? And this assessment period that we've seen, if you look at what Scott Perry has done, he's put Malik Monk on the trade block. Devin Carter's on the trade block. They picked up Keon's option, so they have a decision to make there. They could lose Keon, and they have not extended Keegan. They have made no commitments to anyone that was already in the building prior to Scott Perry's arrival. There are situations where they could have made those commitments. The only person that has a commitment is Dennis Schroeder, who got brought in, obviously, as Scott Perry arrived, and, of course, the draft picks. So the idea could be now anything can happen, right? And knowing us, I could get off this show, and at 2:30, not even that, 2:05.
I don't know. Yesterday it was 1:59.
Yeah, 1:59, I get a text from Kyle, whoever, saying Keegan agreed to his extension. So anything is possible. But this person told me that there is a chance they are waiting to see how this thing plays out. Which begs the question for me, well, what exactly are they trying to see? You still got DeMar DeRozan. You still have Zach LaVine. Obviously, you have Domantas Sabonis. You currently still have Malik Monk. So Keegan, at best, is fighting to be the third offensive option. I don't know that they're really setting him up for success to battle it out and to prove himself, right? To prove himself in order to get this paycheck that we think is what he already deserves. Because Keegan and Jabari Smith Jr., extremely similar stat lines. So Jabari Smith Jr. already got that. So the Rockets, with Jabari Smith Jr. coming off the bench, they said, Jabari Smith Jr., we think you deserve this. So Keegan, at the very least, is that. Now, the other part, this is not from who I spoke with, but there could be a conversation happening and the two sides aren't on the same page. Maybe they want more than Jabari Smith Jr. because Keegan starts and Jabari Smith Jr. doesn't. And Keegan has to guard everybody from Steph Curry to Aaron Gordon, and Jabari Smith Jr. does not. And going into this next season, Keegan Murray is really the main four on the squad. And Jabari Smith, like I said, comes off the bench. So maybe Keegan's camp is asking for more than Jabari Smith Jr., and that's why the Kings are responding, saying, if you want more than him, then let's see how this season plays out. Let's see what happens when your feet are taken to the fire or put to the fire. That could be what's going on here. But the reason, or the possibility and possible reason that this extension hasn't happened yet is because the Kings want to see how this thing kicks off for Keegan. Now, if they wait the whole season, he would go into restricted free agency, which is almost becoming a taboo name here in Sacramento with everything we've discussed with Jonathan Kuminga. But he would be a restricted free agent. And I think the easy answer here is Keegan comes out on fire and they say, here you go, here's a couple more million than Jabari Smith Jr., or they'd still just give him the same thing, which I kind of find hard to believe, right? Because I don't feel as if they would say he doesn't deserve what Jabari Smith Jr. has. So I'm leaning more so towards Keegan might have asked for a little bit more, but we don't know that, right? So Keegan balls out. Here you go. Here's $5 million more than Jabari Smith Jr. Or maybe it is just about getting the same amount, and that's on the Kings side of things. I think it's a bigger conversation, and based on how Keegan is set up with DeMar DeRozan, with Zach LaVine, with Domantas Sabonis. I didn't even mention Dennis Schroeder. It's not as if he doesn't shoot the basketball. He's not Rajon Rondo. He's going to shoot. So you throw him in the mix as well. And obviously, like I said, you still have Malik Monk. So in this situation, based on how they're set up, what if he has the same season he had last season? Right now, he turned it on in January, but going up to December, or going into December, or up through December, Keegan was not great offensively. Obviously, a ton of stuff happened. The team changed. You had a new coach. That's not an excuse. That's really what happened. Now, let's say he just says the same thing offensively, or slightly worse. Now the conversation is, are the Kings willing to let him go to restricted free agency? Are they going to try to Josh Giddey this situation? Because I don't know that they should try to Josh Giddey this situation. I don't know. This season was very specific with only one team having the cap space. More teams next season will have cap space. So I'm not sure that the Kings want to play with fire in that way and why they would want to put themselves into the situation unless, like I said, Scott Perry's evaluating everything. And yeah, I don't know that I think Keegan Murray's that good, right? Or I don't know that Keegan is somebody that we have to hitch our wagon to for the next couple years. Because I would argue if he's somebody that you want to see grow, then I would have prioritized moving off of DeMar DeRozan. I would have prioritized moving off of somebody to see if Keegan Murray is going to be able to get there. Because trying to see if Keegan Murray can get there on this roster, and I hate to use the F word, I hate to use the word fair, but I don't know if that is the most fair situation to be able to assess what Keegan's going to do. And again, this is Jabari Smith Jr. money. This is not Franz Wagner money. This is not Paolo money. We're not talking about maxes here. We're talking about Keegan Murray getting paid the exact same amount that Jabari Smith Jr. is getting paid when their stat lines up to this point in their careers are eerily similar. The only thing that could throw that off right now is if Keegan's camp has said, I don't give a bleep about Jabari Smith Jr. because Keegan starts and Keegan is asked to do more than Jabari Smith Jr. defensively. And like I said, Jabari Smith Jr. is coming off the bench. So especially now, Jabari Smith Jr. just got that deal with Kevin Durant about to join the squad. So he's probably going to get asked to do even less offensively. So I need more than that. And maybe the Kings are saying, I don't know why you feel like you need more than that when up to this point, your stat lines are the same. So that's the information that came across my phone, if you will, okay, or came across myself heading into tonight's show or heading into today's show, that there is a chance that the Kings are waiting to see how this thing plays out for Keegan Murray. Okay? They could sign him right now. They could sign him as soon as the show ends. They could sign him while I'm out on paternity leave. Or they could see how he looks in December. They could see how he looks with a little bit of pressure on him. Does he say, you know what? I'm going to be the third option. DeMar, Zach LaVine, cool. I'm going to be the third option. Domantas Sabonis going to take more of a back seat offensively. Malik Monk going to take more of a back seat offensively. You're going to have to run things for me because of the leap that I've taken. Do I think that's necessary for Keegan to get Jabari Smith Jr. money? No. But maybe Keegan's camp isn't asking for Jabari Smith Jr. money. Maybe they're asking for more than that.
So there's a lot to unpack here. And I think that the first place to start is kind of the wait and see thing, right? Because regardless of whether he makes a little bit more, a little bit less, the market is the market at this point, right? Like we know where Jabari Smith Jr. is at. Eventually, Tari Eason is probably going to sign a deal. Jeremy Sohan, Benedict Mathurin, some of these other draft class mates of Keegan Murray are going to get deals comparable to what Jabari Smith Jr. got,
right?
Or, a little bit less for Mathurin, a little bit more for someone else. So the market kind of is what it is. And I understand if they played it out just to kind of get a better gauge on, which direction the market is going to go. Does the rest of the league feel like the Rockets overpaid for Jabari Smith Jr.? Do the Spurs feel like Jeremy Sohan, who again is basically coming off the bench behind Harrison Barnes, is worth $20 million? Maybe the Kings are just playing that out for a better gauge on the market. But it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like the talks between the Kings and Keegan's camp have not gotten to a point where they're even talking about like contract offers yet. Like they're not even like submitting offers back and forth to each other. There hasn't really been much negotiation.
That I don't know. I don't know what conversations have happened with the Kings with Keegan and his camp. What I am being told is that it's possible the Kings just want to see how Keegan does before they get too deep in. I would have to assume that initial conversations have been had. That's why it could be about Keegan wanting more money. It could be that Keegan might not want to sign. He might want to just test restricted free agency and see what else is out there. Now, the list that we saw, it's not the most glamorous list outside of Los Angeles, but again, I don't know that, and there were about 8 teams, I think, with that type of cap space. I don't know that Keegan needs glamour, don't get me wrong, but maybe he just wants to see what's out there. And I don't know whether or not it would have come out that the Kings offered Keegan, but Keegan wants to test restricted free agency. It feels like that would have come out. I know the Kings are working on being more buttoned up, but if the Kings offered Keegan and Keegan essentially said, we're going to test restricted free agency, it feels like that would be something very hard to hide, because from the Kings' point of view, they would want their fan base and everyone to know, as they're still working on their PR, their narratives, that that they have at least put an offer out to Keegan and that he's the one saying, hey, I might want to just see how this thing turns out. That's why I don't know that that's why it's kind of hard for me to believe that an offer has been sent to Keegan, because it just feels like if he were to say no, we would have heard about that. But right now, the conversation is whether or not they even sent something to him, or are they, and if not, is it because they are trying to see how this season kind of kicks off and where this thing is going? Which, to be honest, guys coming up to me at Rivercats games, Alan, what's going on with Keegan? That makes a decent amount of sense to me. It's either from Keegan's camp, there's something from Keegan's camp, or it's from the Kings. From Keegan's camp, could be a couple things. Could be more money, could be
belief that you're going to have a breakout season.
Right. Could be more money, could be belief of a breakout season, which would lead to let's just test free agency. Or it could be from the Kings side, yeah, we don't know how much we want to pay Keegan, right? I still think it would be crazy that they're doing this as far as Jabari Smith being that level. That still feels nuts to me, but hey, you never know with the Kings.
Yeah, so I just looked it up real quick. So the teams projected to have cap space would be Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Detroit, both Los Angeles teams, Portland, Utah, Washington, and if Zach LaVine declines his option, the Kings.
Right, which he is not going to do.
No. So again, and you just need one, right? If one team, like say Detroit, for example, is
I was thinking Detroit, man.
You extend Asar Thompson. The Tobias Harris money comes off the books after this year for them, so that opens up. I think Tobias Harris was making $26 million. So let's say they just say, "Hey, we're gonna clear that Tobias Harris money, offer Keegan a 4-year at $26 million a year." The Kings would obviously match it, but in a weird way, going back to what just happened with Micah Parsons and the Cowboys, it's like, well, now you've just set the market above where you were at, right?
Yes.
You could have got him for 5 years.
That's the danger.
120.
Yes, that's the danger of doing this.
Yeah. And it's like, well, now you've just let him go to free agency. And it's like, oh, wait, teams actually do value him as a $25 to $30 million player. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, why did you make him wait? Why did you potentially, sour the relationship with arguments about money? Because that's the number one reason couples get divorced is arguments over money. So why have you soured the relationship when you were ultimately going to sign him in the end anyways? And maybe that's the Kings saying, we just want to maintain flexibility, because if you're Scott Perry, I have no idea how this season is going to go.
Yeah. And then you really start to send this thing down the rabbit hole. Then it becomes a possible trade conversation, right? The Pascal Siakam special. If there's somewhere that he's interested in, and hey, I'll sign an extension there, that this opens up a lot if the Kings are making this decision. Now, he can ball out and they can offer him the extension at any point in time. But if he balls out, that's when Keegan can say, oh, the price, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Well, and here's the other interesting thing about him getting all the way to restricted free agency, right? So we mentioned Tari Eason, Jaden Ivey, Benedict Mathurin, Jeremy Sohan, guys in his draft class that are also going to be extension eligible. If you wait until June 30th of 2026 when free agency opens, then the 2023 draft class is eligible for extensions. And just pulling it up real quick, you've got Brandon Miller, the Hornets might cash him out. He's the best option they got. You've got both of the Thompson twins. You've got Bilal Coulibaly with the Wizards. If one of those guys gets $30 million, then all of a sudden it's like, well, hey, guess what? I'm just as good as Bilal Coulibaly or Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
And they just got $150 million. Now, all of a sudden, I'm worth $150 million, which is true. Like, you are as good as the market says you are worth, if Kuminga has taught us anything.
Jabari Smith Jr. last season, and he only played 57 games. Okay, so I'm going to be Keegan's agent, because that's what I would say. Jabari Smith Jr. has played 57 games. Out of those 57 games, he started 39 of them. Okay, he started 39 of them because the Rockets had a lot of confusion going on based on who they wanted to start, and they had a lot of redundancy there. So he started 39 games. He played only 57, and he played 30 minutes per game. In those 57 games, 12.2 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 1.1 assists per game, 43.8% from the field, 35% from three, 82% from the free throw line. For his career, he's at 13 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists per game, 43% from the field, 34% from three. Keegan Murray played 76 games, okay? And he started all 76. And Keegan Murray, and I'm just double-checking, going back on Jabari Smith Jr., he played 57 games, 76 games, 79 games. Keegan Murray, 76 games, 77 games, 80 games his rookie year. All right, Keegan, 12 points per game this last season, 6.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 44% from the field, 34% from three, 83% from the free throw line. For his career, 13.3 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists, 45% from the field, 37% from three, 81% from free throw. Just eerily similar. Minutes played, Keegan was at 34 minutes per game. Okay, Jabari Smith Jr. at 30 minutes per game. He only played 57 games. Keegan played 34, right? So, again, I'm Keegan's agent, and this could be a nickel and dime situation. We don't know that. But if I'm Keegan's agent, 122, Jabari Smith Jr., 122, 5-year 122. Yeah, I might go in saying I need 130. I need 130. This dude's coming off the bench. He played 57 games. They just signed Kevin Durant. He is not going to have to do half of the stuff that Keegan Murray has to do. And y'all are out here. I'm the agent. I'm walking around saying, hold on. Y'all out here talking about Russell Westbrook? You're talking about Westbrook and you mess around with Kuminga when I am the most sought after young talent that you have on this roster. And y'all are messing around trying to nickel and dime for Russell Westbrook, who nobody's calling about. Stop playing with me, dude. Well, stop playing. I need 130. I need 130. I don't care that the stats are the same. The numbers, what do they always say? Numbers never lie, but they don't tell the whole truth. And now that I think about it, and I get it, it's not a huge difference, but I'm going to need 130.
Now that you're role-playing as Keegan's agent.
Yeah, now that I'm Keegan's agent, I need 130. If Jabari Smith Jr. is getting 122 to play 57 games and start in 39 of those games, less minutes, less games, fine. Equal stats are the same, but we know Keegan is a better shooter, right? The reason my shot went down is because y'all got me out here guarding Steph Curry. Yeah. So I need 130.
And if you believe the market is going to go up, then today's price is not necessarily tomorrow's price either. So if one of these other dudes gets an extension, then all of a sudden.
And maybe that's what they're thinking, right? Maybe Keegan's agent is saying, look, if they are, let's say the Kings are floating around 125, right? And Keegan's agent is saying, look, this thing is going to, if you can take it if you want, but this thing is going to get driven up, I believe, pretty soon here. And we know you're due. I mean, Keegan is, I know we said it last season, but Keegan is kind of due. 34% from three, and I know it's a small sample size, but 34% from three, 35 the year before, and 41 his rookie year.
Not to mention, post Doug Christie taking over, he was 39% from three last year.
You like it's been working with Doug. You're in a pretty good situation. They didn't go. Sometimes it helps when they don't do something, right? They could probably say, when we got Kuminga, we don't have to give you 130 anymore, Keegan, because we have Kuminga. You don't have to do as much work, right? So they're probably doing a push and pull thinking, I mean, Kuminga would be nice, but if I can get paid for the work that I'm doing, right? If you lose that notch to say, I'm the only four that you have, and I'm the only one guarding these fours. You saw how that looked when DeMar DeRozan had to guard Aaron Gordon. They say, actually, we just traded for Kuminga, so that Jabari Smith Jr. contract is going to fit you just fine.
Because one way or another, this is going to end with Keegan Murray getting a contract extension, right? The only way it won't is, A, they trade him in a larger trade package, or they let him walk in restricted free agency, which nobody would let Keegan Murray at 26 years old walk in restricted free agency when you don't have to. Even if the Pistons offer that 28 a year deal, if you're the Kings, you just say, all right, we'll just match it, because as we've been talking about all summer, signing a contract extension sometimes is the easiest way to make a trade.
Yeah, 916-339-1140. Are you worried about the Keegan Murray conversation, or would you let him go into the season and see what he's able to do? Let's keep the conversation